The camera opens with a tight shot on a basketball, its leather worn to a faded brown, the seams peeling like old wallpaper. The camera pulls back to reveal a chain-link fence, rattling faintly in the wind as dusk settles over East Baltimore. Streetlights flicker, casting broken halos of orange over cracked sidewalks and tired row homes that lean into one another. A basketball thuds against the pavement, the sound sharp and solitary, echoing like a defiant heartbeat. Jalen Carter, 16, stands on the edge of the park court. One foot is planted in the present, the other in yesterday's world. Too tall for his hoodie, too quiet for the city he lives in, his breath mists in the cold autumn air. He holds the ball, the one his mother gave him on his 10th birthday just 2 weeks before the accident. He never lets it go. The court is a relic. The lights have been dead for months, the backboard is cracked and the net hangs in shreds. Yet this is his sanctuary, a chapel where, between the crooked painted lines and rusted fences, Jalen transforms. He becomes quicker, smarter, stronger. He practices in the dark, every night after his shift, because the world offers him no other time. From a second-story window across the street, a curtain shifts. His grandmother, Miss Hattie, watches as always, arms crossed tight. Behind her, little Naomi, age 7, waits on the couch, her book unfinished, listening for the sound of Jalen coming home. Miss Hattie's knees ache from a life spent as a hospital custodian, her fingers gnarled by arthritis. She knows the weight of their house rests on Jalen's shoulders and she knows it's not fair. On the court, Jalen plants his feet, fakes left, executes a quick crossover and rises. The jump shot is fluid, the ball arcing high through the shadows before dropping through the rim with a hollow, satisfying thwump. No cheers, no scoreboard, just the cold air and the rhythm of a boy outrunning the world. He glances up at the apartment window, a fleeting smile on his face. He wants to go inside, to eat, to do homework, to braid Naomi's hair. But his feet are rooted to the pavement. This is the one time of day that truly belongs to him. His shift at the gas station ends at 7:45 sharp. He jogs the 4 blocks home, backpack slapping against his spine, swaps his boots for scuffed-up Nikes and heads straight for the court. No dinner, no break. His grandmother doesn't ask anymore. She understands. She's seen the way his eyes lock onto basketball games on the old TV, as if studying blueprints for an escape. She's heard him whisper plays under his breath, watched him cut through the kitchen on a fast break, dribbling an invisible ball without even realizing. Jalen has no coach, no team, barely any time. Yet his movements possess a silent logic, a language his body instinctively knows. Quick pivot, fast release, smooth arc. It's not luck or showboating. It's raw, unshaped, hungry talent. And on that cold November evening someone finally sees it. A black sedan pulls up, headlights off, windows down. Inside sits Coach Sam Whitaker, head basketball coach at Lincoln Heights High School. Once a regional scout, now resigned to teaching gym, he leans forward, watching Jalen move as if the game is stitched into his DNA. Coach Sam doesn't speak or honk. He just watches. Another clean jump shot, a drive to the rim, a spin move and a soft layup off the glass. Smooth, efficient, smart. Jalen finally notices the car, stopping with the ball palmed in his hand. He squints into the dark, his shoulders tense. Coach Sam steps out slowly, hands up. "I'm not here to sell you anything," he says calmly. "Name's Coach Whitaker, Lincoln Heights." Jalen nods but stays silent. The court feels different now, exposed. "I saw the whole thing," the coach continues. "You've got court vision timing. You play like you've been coached before." "I haven't," Jalen replies, his voice low and guarded. A small, respectful smile crosses the coach's face. "Then I think we ought to fix that. Ever think about trying out? We've got an open gym every Saturday. No pressure, no promises, just ball." Jalen hesitates, thinking of Naomi asleep on the couch, the weight he carries every day. He grips the ball tighter, looking from the hoop to the tattered net, then back at the coach. "Maybe," he says. "I'll think about it." Coach Sam nods once, a signal that this is enough. He turns to his car and the cold settles in deeper. As he drives off he calls out, "Next Saturday 9 a.m. don't need gear. Just bring your game." Jalen stands alone long after the car disappears. The park is silent again. The worn-out ball feels heavier than ever, like a key or a question. It's not just about escaping anymore. It's about choosing where to go. He takes one last shot, a clean swish, then turns and walks home, the echo of the bounce fading behind him. The night swallows the court whole, but something has shifted. Tomorrow might be different. The ball's thud on the pavement is steady and sharp at 10:06 p.m., echoing off brick walls and broken glass. The street light above Jalen blinks with a lazy hum, casting a pale yellow cone onto the blacktop. His shadow dances with each pivot, stretching and twisting like the burden on his back. He moves with silent resolve, sweat glistening on his forehead, his every move deliberate. Each step is a quiet reply to the world that asks, "What makes you think you belong?" Most boys his age are home now, living lives untouched by the constant thrum of hunger. But Jalen is here, alone under an indifferent sky, running drills from fragmented memories of YouTube videos and old games glimpsed in pawn shop windows. Hours earlier he clocked out of his shift, nodded to the night manager who pretended not to notice the leftover sandwiches in his backpack, and jogged the 6 blocks home. He unlocked the apartment door quietly, finding Naomi half asleep on the couch, and tucked a blanket around her before leaving again. His legs ache, but he welcomes the burn. Pain is proof he is still moving, still chasing something. Across town, in a different world, the courts of Washington West gleam under polished trophies. Here Bradley "B-Rock" Simmons practices in custom sneakers that cost more than Jalen's entire wardrobe. Bradley, son of a senator and a 5-star prospect, grew up with everything Jalen lacked: private trainers, travel teams, and highlight reels. He doesn't just play the game, he owns it. He knows every name on the upcoming bracket for the Maryland State Youth Classic, but Jalen Carter's is a new one, a name that doesn't belong. Back on the east side, Jalen wipes his brow and resets at the top of the key. He breathes, focuses, and launches a shot that hits nothing but the tattered remains of the net. A voice cuts through the stillness. "You always this quiet when you play, or just ignoring me?" Jalen turns sharply to see Tiana Brooks. Her long braids catch the breeze as she steps onto the concrete, her beat-up tote bag filled with school books. "I said hey," she repeats, her voice softer now. Jalen cracks a small smile. "I wasn't ignoring you, just in it. You forgot to answer my text. Naomi was asking for you." She drops her bag and walks toward him. "I know," Jalen says, looking down. "I was running late." "You can't do everything, Jay," she says. "I don't have a choice," he replies, almost too fast. The tension settles between them like fog. He picks up the ball and bounces it to him. "You still have math homework, genius. And Coach Sam wants you to run film with him tomorrow." Jalen catches the ball, spinning it on his finger before it drops into his palm. "He's serious about putting me on the tournament roster. He already turned in the paperwork. You're on the official team sheet, starting 5. Tiana watches his reaction. "You didn't know?" she asks. He blinks, unable to believe it. "That's real." "It's real. Maryland State Youth Classic. You're facing the best in the state. And B-Rock's going to be there too." He lets out a long breath. "Great. Just what I need. Some spoiled rich kid." "He's more than that," Tiana warns. "He's good. But Coach says you've got something he doesn't." "Like what?" Jalen asks, raising an eyebrow. "Like grit," she says, giving him a small shove. "The ability to read a play before it happens. Coach Sam says you see the game like you've been playing it in your sleep for years." He turns back to the basket, his voice low. "I don't want to just show up. I want to win. Not for a medal. Just to prove something." "To who?" she asks. "To myself," he whispers, his voice cracking. She says nothing, but he sees in her eyes that she understands. Later that night, Coach Sam sits in his apartment, smiling as he looks at the name he scribbled on an old roster. Jalen Carter. He mutters to himself, "Damn kid doesn't even know how good he is yet." Across the city, in a penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows, B-Rock watches game film of Lincoln Heights. He pauses at a frame of Jalen driving through 3 defenders. "Who the hell is this kid?" he mutters, texting his assistant coach for more tape. Jalen walks home under the flickering street lamp, the ball lighter in his hand. The weight is still there, but now it has direction. He's not just playing for survival anymore, he's playing for something bigger. The gym at Morgan Field Arena is electric, buzzing with an energy that tightens your chest. The air is thick with sweat, cheap nachos, and 1,000 overlapping conversations. The bleachers groan under the weight of students, parents, and scouts. The scoreboard flashes, Maryland State Youth Classic semifinals. On the court, Lincoln Heights huddles close, their shoulders bumping. Jalen stands on the edge, his heart thudding so loud it drowns out the pep band. He looks calm, but inside he's counting everything. His breaths, the score, the faces in the crowd. He's never played in front of so many people or under lights this bright. Across the court, Washington West stands like a wall. Bigger, more polished, their jerseys crisp. At the center is Bradley Simmons, B-Rock, the team captain and a 5-star prospect. Bradley hasn't even looked Jalen's way, but Jalen has studied his every move. Now late in the fourth quarter, Jalen notices something new. B-Rock is fading. His stance has lost its bounce and his breath is a deep, raspy inhale. His skin is pale around the lips. The crowd and his teammates don't see it, but Jalen does. The game is tied 58-58. With 25 seconds left, Coach Sam gives the signal for man-to-man defense. Jalen's feet move on instinct, every drill under that street light flooding back. He mirrors his man like a shadow. B-Rock catches the ball and tries a crossover, but his knees buckle just slightly. It's enough. Jalen pokes the ball loose and snatches it, his sneakers pounding the court like war drums. The crowd explodes. The announcer's voice cracks, calling the breakaway on live TV. Jalen sees the clear lane, the wide-open basket. He can win the game with a single soaring layup. He surges forward, ball cradled in his hand, the basket a promise. He leaps. But in that split second, just as his feet leave the hardwood, he catches a glimpse of a body falling. Not stumbling, but collapsing. Jalen twists in midair, landing hard on his heels, turning just in time to see B-Rock hit the floor with a dull, unnatural thud. His arm twitches once, his eyes are unfocused, and his mouth is slightly parted. Jalen freezes, the ball still in his hand. The ref hasn't blown the whistle. The clock keeps ticking. From the bench, Coach Sam yells something, but the words don't register. Nothing matters but the boy on the floor. Jalen drops the ball and runs. He reaches B-Rock in 3 long strides, dropping to his knees. He remembers the community center instructor's words. Don't panic. Check the airway. Check the pulse. Keep him breathing. He tilts Bradley's chin up. His pulse is fast and scattered. Somebody call the medic, he yells. Chaos erupts. The scoreboard clock stops at 13.2 seconds. Jalen stays on his knees, eyes locked on Bradley, sweat dripping from his brow. The trainer kneels beside him. If you didn't get to him that fast, she says, her voice trailing off. She doesn't have to finish the sentence. The overhead announcement comes moments later. Due to an unsportsmanlike interruption of play, Lincoln Heights forfeits the game. Final score: Washington 60, Lincoln Heights 58. Jalen hears his name whispered, sees fingers pointing. He feels the heat of eyes on his back, some wide with disbelief, others narrow with disgust. But none of it matters because one boy is still breathing. And Jalen knows, to the marrow of his bones, that he made the only choice that would ever let him sleep at night. The morning after the game, the air at Lincoln Heights High School is thin, as if the whole building is holding its breath. Jalen walks down the main hall, his backpack low, his hood half up. Every step echoes, bouncing off the cold tiles and faded trophy cases. Eyes follow him. Whispers pause just long enough for him to pass. He keeps walking, pushing open the locker room door to find it empty. No one has messaged him. The silence is thick as cement. He sits on the bench, the sound of the ball hitting the floor. Not the rim, not the net, just the floor, replaying in his mind. He'd watched the clip that morning. It was already viral. He choked. Simple as that. Playing the hero in the biggest game of your life, huh? He turned off his phone. Outside, Coach Sam leans against the wall, arms crossed. He's been quiet since the forfeit, not angry, just quiet. A silence that cuts sharper than any words. Jalen steps out, unsure of what to say. You sleep? The coach asks, his eyes tired but steady. Jalen shrugs. Coach Sam nods slowly, looking out at the rain tapping against the window. You didn't win the game, he says, then turning to face Jalen finishes, but you won my respect. And if I had to do it all over again, I'd still bet on you. A lump rises in Jalen's throat. He nods once. He doesn't need more words than that. 2 days pass like a fog. Jalen keeps to himself. His grandmother asks about the phone calls and the neighbors' whispers. Naomi leaves him little drawings of a basketball on the table. By the afternoon of the second day, Jalen is back in the gym alone, just tossing the ball softly off the backboard. His body moves, but his mind is still. Then the front doors creak open. Principal Jennings steps inside. "Jalen, someone's here to see you." He follows her into the hall where students peer over the railings of the upper floor. At the far end stands Rockwell Simmons, the state senator, flanked by 2 assistants. Mr. Simmons steps forward, his face etched with gravity, not arrogance. He stops a few feet from Jalen, meets his eyes, and extends a hand. Jalen slowly shakes it. "My son is alive today because you acted when no one else did," Mr. Simmons says, his voice steady. "Doctors told me another minute might have been too late. You saw it. You ran. You chose a person over points, and because of that I still have a son." Jalen feels a heat rising in his chest, not from pride but from the weight of it all. He hadn't done it for a speech. He just did what felt right. Mr. Simmons turns to the crowd. "We teach young men that winning is everything. But this young man reminded all of us that doing what's right, especially when it costs you something, is what truly defines greatness." The hallway is hushed. Mr. Simmons turns back to Jalen and places a folded document in his hand. "This is a full athletic scholarship to Elan Rise Sports Academy," he says. "You'll train at one of the best programs in the region with every resource we have. On top of that, your little sister's tuition will be covered, and your grandmother can work part-time in our administrative office." He smiles faintly. "There's one more thing. Coach Sam Whitaker, he raised a man of character here. We'd like him to join the Elan Rise training program as assistant head coach." Coach Sam blinks. It's the first time in years he's been offered more than a whistle and a folding chair. "I didn't do it for this," Jalen says, his voice quiet but firm. "I know," Mr. Simmons replies. "That's exactly why you deserve it." Someone claps, then another, until the whole hall pulses with a rhythm of real recognition. Jalen stands there, holding a future he never asked for, a future granted not because he was the fastest or strongest, but because when it mattered most he ran toward a fallen player. In that choice, everything had changed. The first time Jalen walked through the doors of Elan Rise Sports Academy, he felt like a stranger in someone else's story. The floors gleamed like wet glass, the walls lined with framed jerseys, and the gym echoed with the sound of perfect timing. Every player there had come up through the ranks, but Jalen arrived with nothing but a bruised pair of Nikes and a quiet game honed under a broken street light. Yet he didn't walk in small. He walked in steady. He had learned that silence wasn't the absence of confidence, it was its sharpest form. He trained harder than anyone. He listened more than he spoke. He showed up early, stayed late, and asked questions the others didn't think to ask. Coach Sam, now in a crisp Elan Rise polo, never had to push. He just watched as the kid from East Baltimore earned every inch of his new world. Jalen still called home every night. Naomi would run to the phone, her voice breathless with updates. Miss Hattie would ask if he was eating right. He always said yes, even when the food tasted like paper. In his dorm, on a top shelf behind his Elan Rise branded game ball, sat something older, faded, and priceless. The basketball his mother had given him. He had cleaned it and placed it on a folded towel like something sacred. That ball had carried him through every long night. It wasn't just rubber and air, it was memory and a reminder. Months later, Jalen took a train back home. No holiday, no one expected him. He stepped off the train in East Baltimore, hoodie pulled low, and walked to the court. It was exactly as he'd left it. The fence still rattled, the backboard was even more faded, and the net was just a few tired strands. But a small boy, maybe 10, was there trying to dribble a ball that looked more like a deflated balloon. The boy was skinny, his clothes too big, his shoes too small. Jalen stood by the fence and watched as the boy missed a jump shot by a full foot. The ball bounced toward the edge and Jalen stepped forward, catching it with one hand, spinning it like it weighed nothing. The boy turned, startled, his eyes narrowed with the guarded curiosity only city kids know. Jalen crouched down to his level. He unzipped his backpack and pulled out a newer ball, an Elan Rise insignia gleaming just below the grain. He held it out. "Here," he said gently. "Take it." "For real?" the boy blinked. "For real. But there's one rule. Don't let the ball decide who you are. You decide where it goes." The boy took it with both hands, his fingers moving over the solid texture as if holding something alive. He lined up again, bounced once, and shot. The ball arced through the air like it had been waiting its whole life to fly, and missed. The boy's shoulders dropped. Jalen walked over, placed a hand on his shoulder and smiled. "Not there yet," he said. "But you're on the right court." In that moment, everything came full circle. Not in applause or headlines, but in a quiet exchange between two people who understood. Sometimes the best shot is the one you give someone else.